I just want to make this very quick. I really do mean quick. Excuse me, this is not a personal attack. This is me, as always, documenting, pouring out my pain, and the rest of it. The worst abuse is emotional abuse. And a woman who had been beaten up by her partner actually said that to me. Excuse me. So there you go. Someone who knows what physical abuse is like would rather have that. And that's like the satanic ritual abuse victim, the South African woman in the psychiatric unit who was exposing a Freemason, said to me, she validated, this is someone who has seen the worst of the worst. Sexual abuse, forced to eat babies, yes, all that stuff. And she was the person who was validating divorce, my parents' divorce in 1986, whilst I had all this narcissistic abuse going on. So it really doesn't make any difference whether my partner's mother or my godmother say, well, my mother died, so what? You know, the executor of my late mother's estate, and I had a problem with her, she said it. If you miss your mother so much, why are you telling someone else that you need to get over there? No one has the right to say that. I've had the same compassion I've had ever since I was little. I would never dream of saying that. Because even now that I know what it's like to lose my mother, I wouldn't say it. But before I knew what it was like to lose my mother, I thought, what a terrible thing. So this is what I mean. It's usually the people who've had the real torture, who have feelings. But you got a choice if you want to end up a loser and whatnot. You got a choice. Everyone's got a choice. And I just wanted to say that, well, yes, Darren, you were right. You can't argue with the Bible. And whether that was a red flag or not, before we even got into a relationship, when you ushered me out of the door and shut the door in my face and said, well, Bryony, you can't argue with the Bible, and I've teased you about that many times before, you were right. You can't argue with the Bible. It's you can't argue with. Because, as you know, in your Bible, it will say, in Hebrew, you've got the Hebrew words for it, that if a man looks at another woman, he's committed adultery in his heart. You only have to look at another woman, with desire. So, with all this pain that I'm carrying, and the way you're treating me and then shouting at me, and I bought you some food, you asked me for money, which I'm happy to give, but no, I'm not happy to be abused like this. No, I'm not. And on that note, I didn't keep the Sabbath because I went shopping. But hey ho, because you said you saw me as like a wife, then you went back on it. You were going to try and live with me. This is the worst kind of abuse. Not just to use the scripture, which obviously for me was that was a huge pulling attraction for me, was your faith. But we're talking about trust here. We're talking about love. I've never had anyone say to me, no point. Because every time I try to speak to you, you shout in your flat, you become aggressive, you admit to your aggression. I've just lost a father and I don't know how he died. When my mother was dying of cancer, I got no help from anyone and I was physically and emotionally abused by someone I should have had arrested. Because that was horrendous, that was. It was physical, verbal and emotional. In fact, actually, he should join Sussex Police. He'd be right in there with them. Makes you wonder how many of them are beating up their wives and girlfriends. Sussex Police. But anyway, you knew all of this. I was abused very badly when my mother was dying of cancer. And her friends said, "Are you getting any help?" No, I was being exploited. It's only now that my father has died that all of this corruption, that now things have come to a head. People don't survive the things that I've survived. But that's been part of the social engineering. That's been the test. The pain that I am carrying is out of this world and no one can see it. No one can see it, even though I'm so polite. I hide it, I cover it, I'm an actress. And I'm desperate to share it. I'm desperate. People with ADHD and autism often don't care about people's feelings if they're on that end of the spectrum. Because everyone's on the spectrum. Every human being is allegedly on the spectrum. I feel programmed to people please, and that's why it gets to a point, and that's why I have to keep away from people, because people put their problems onto me. I'm sick of this narcissistic abuse. You can't be 1 minute all sweetie pop babying me, crying for me. You left me to sleep rough, saying you saw me as like a wife. Your mother said we could have a nice life together. You can't do this to a woman. You can't. Because you know I've got no one else, and that's why I have to let adult social care know about all these crimes, you know? This isn't just let Darren have a caring role, and isn't he a good boy? Oh, my son. Because as the National Domestic Abuse Helpline said, in their mother's eyes, they can never do any wrong. And my mother's best friend, who if she is alive, and this is what I've got to find out, she'd be 88 or 89 or coming up to close to 90. She said there are, with the last one that really badly abused me, she said there's a lot of them out there. Yeah, we know that. We know. My father's father beat him. He said that on Facebook. I hadn't seen him since my 12th birthday. I'm 41 and I still don't know how he died. And what with the nonsense of this stupid police abusing powers lot. And I've got to report all of this to adult social care. All of this. Everything that's been going on here. The recordings, the video evidence, the lies, the crimes. All this stuff. It's like, am I almost meant to be thankful for my father's death? Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think any of this would have happened. Yes, it's my strength and me trying to get legal aid that I'm actually still here in one piece and I've come this far. But what I'm saying, Darren, because I know you will watch this, like you watched me being attacked, but you didn't do anything. Like you saw me crying my eyes out when I got news of my father's death and having all this nonsense going on here. You watched all of that. And all these people You know, narcissists like to use each other. They use each other, and then they badmouth each other to all and sundry. Oh, he's a so-and-so. Oh, he's a this. Oh, he's a that. It's all about see what I can get out of this. You've been arrested so many times that it's up to 5 years in prison for coercive control nowadays. I didn't ask you to be in a caring role. And your dad was like, well, hang on a minute, I'm confused by this. I thought, well, so am I. I told him I went along with it because I just couldn't see the wood through the trees anymore. You came into my problems. And I don't think you would have said anything to the landlord's partner the other night because you were jollying it up with them at the letting agent, that corrupt letting agent. That John Boy had made them look bad on my behalf. You never said anything to her when she came screaming up the stairs. You never said anything when that demented nutter that was on a criminal tag was attacking me. You just whispered to me I could kill her. And when that silly little girl, PC Soph, was like, oh, I'm sorry, Darren, you got 5 minutes to get out of here. And you whispered so quietly, a mouse couldn't have heard it. She's not aggressive. You're a man in your 50s. You and Charlie can have anxiety as much as you like. I've got anxiety. I got to a point where I thought I can't get out the door, and I did. It's called forcing yourself. And if you've got a woman, you fight for that woman. How could you expect to be you wanted to have a child. How can you have a child if you can't even look after the woman that you're with? Because as Alan Horvath said, the man is the head of the house. If the family unit falls apart, it's the man's fault. So yes, the Bible is right. But all this hypocrisy, you and Gurmit, it might as well be about religion. And I can't stand that word. Because I'm not into religion, the words of man. Even a Jew said it's not about religion. It's about our Creator, where he came from. This is all the religion, that's all the man-made stuff. This is about the people who created this race of people, and us, the Gentiles, we join them. We say, I'm a sinner, and then we go and join them, but you're not doing that. It's like you might as well be arguing about religion, you and Gurmit, who's an ex-Sikh, talking to me, telling me that I made you do things. You do. You've been doing things on your own long before I was even born. And as for Eben, I don't care what people believe. It's none of my business. Although I couldn't help noticing the false teacher prosperity stuff, and what's that woman's name? Joyce Meyer. But Steve Churchill and Eben, that was horrific abuse, and I've got to get help with this. You were arrested prior to me coming here, and that's why you're not allowed in here. There's no humility. No humility. And I deserve so much better. I had nothing for my 40th birthday. Nothing for this birthday either, this year. But I go out of my way because I don't know why. I don't know why. Because because I'm a good person. Because I'm a loving person. That's why. You know, that blonde, blue-eyed American girl who was put in the news. Oh, it's only because she was beautiful. They wouldn't do that if she was ugly. Because so many people go missing. But that girl who went on a road trip all around America with her boyfriend, and then he murdered her and then killed himself. And you see the footage where they've stopped them and the girl is crying and apologising and making herself look like she's the bad party. And what does the boyfriend do? Saying, oh, she was slapping me. She was slapping me. But witnesses who were concerned on the highway told the police that they saw him hitting her. And you would have thought butter wouldn't melt. They're often the most, we all know this though, they're often the most upstanding pillars of the community. Well, Darren, I cannot get up from this. I cannot get up from this. It's like you've studied me. What is it? What is it that, that's sociopathic. What does this girl really, really need? I'm really going to tear into her emotions. I'm really going to study her. And that's what these some of these self-help things for men, how to get a woman. Oh, but make sure you don't be immoral about it. No, that there is only one immoral way to be about it, and that is serious abuse. To study someone's emotions, to think, what does this person need? How can I manipulate it? How can I make sure this person, I've got her like that. She's lost her mother. She's childlike. I'll baby her. I'll treat her like a baby. And when she tells me that I've hurt her feelings and I've had enough, I'll put her down like that. And I'll use tears. Do you know, I didn't believe Robert when he said to me about that creep saying, oh, he will have used crocodile tears on you. Now, I knew that creep was using, Joe was using crocodile tears on me, but I was extremely vulnerable. I've lost not only my mother, but my soulmate. The pain and the agony will never, ever go away. Because it's been a lifelong fear. A lot of people don't understand because they don't have the relationship that I have with my mother. We were soulmates. And it was the worst possible fear. Losing my mother, the worst fear, and it came true. And I said to Robert, but that creep, Joe, surely, but Darren, because he's gone on to, as you know, he's 13 years older than me. He's in his 50s. He's had his previous wife who took an overdose. I'm not surprised. He made me suicidal. So he's married twice. And then he went on to abuse another girlfriend who was a friend of 35 years. Your friend, Darren. And you and I have both seen what state she was in. Because she's had a lifetime. This is all social engineering, this is. She's been emotionally abused. She's had physical, sexual, emotional abuse. Everything done to her when she was a child. Everything. And she did. I don't think she didn't quite believe me when I said that he'd abused me. So obviously he wasn't telling her something about his past. Do you want to end up like that? Do you want to? Because you could lose the best thing that you've ever had. And so many of them do. I've spoken to so many men who have cried to me saying they lost their wife or their girlfriend because he didn't treat them well. I will always believe John Boy's tears, the ex-army Jehovah's Witness, who had the most, it's that stuff you read in magazines. Horrifically abused by his father, his Irish father, and then he went to go and fight in the conflict. And back in the 60s, as always, he was sexually and physically abused in children's homes, all that satanic stuff. Oh yeah, I believe all of that. And you can still see the generational curses going on and on and on and on. It's your choice. I have to set boundaries because my body can't physically take it, let alone emotionally take any more pain. So yeah, the Bible is right. It's the worst possible abuse.